But we're pleased to have back here on the Rich Eisen Show a friend of the program. He's been here a couple of times in person, and we wish that could be the case this time, but we understand what's going on in the real world. And what you can do is watch on demand everywhere right now a great psychological thriller that was released on Thursday of last week. It is a movie called You Should Have Left. Kevin Bacon back here on the show. How are you, man?
Good to hear your voice.
Good to hear your voice, too. What's going on in your world?
I'm in Connecticut, northwestern Connecticut, with my wife.
Okay.
We've never spent this much time together. We've been married for 31 years, and this is the longest I think we've ever spent together. So it's going well. I mean, considering.
Well, I mean, the fact that there's still plans for a 32nd year of marriage, that means things are going well at this point in time.
Exactly.
Just got to, I mean, we all know, again, your charity is 6degrees.org. There has been words about, trying to be 6 feet of separation, right? Do you see where I'm going right now, Kevin?
I think you're putting the sixes together.
I'm putting this whole world together. Have you been spending any time in your quarantine just flipping on TV and seeing some of these old sporting events from back in the day, back in your youth? Maybe have you checked anything out? Anything pop on your screen that you're like, oh gosh, I forgot about all that?
Well, I couldn't get enough of The Last Dance. I mean, I was kind of like, it was the type of thing where, Kira wasn't really all that interested in it, and so I was watching it. I was watching it by myself, so it wasn't the thing that we would sit down after dinner and share together. But yes. I didn't want it to end. I got to the point where I think it was 8 episodes or something. I got to like the second to last episode. I was like, now what am I going to do?
I know, right? And we were all covering it in our world of sports talk and sports media, covering it like it was a real live sporting event and going down memory lane. But I'm wondering if you had the same situation that I had being a Knicks fan, recounting all the near misses and all the shoulda, coulda beens if it wasn't for Michael Jordan, Kevin.
Well, yeah, it was, but it was also sort of like doubly. Like I was texting with a friend and I said, "This is a rough episode." but then it kind of came, and I sort of got over it. And then it kind of came back to and hit me, seeing how great Reggie Miller was, and then I was thinking about Reggie in the Garden, and anyway. But it was something else, And I guess I don't know. I was just great documentary filmmaking is just something special.
Yeah, and for you to go down your memory lane like that, for me it was very difficult just to see how Jordan had a specific animus for the Knicks and a specific beating Ewing as a collegiate, and then just destroying pretty much every opportunity he ever had as a pro. Was just very difficult for me to watch, but it was great just seeing all the anger and all the angst of those days just still being played out. And my favorite stuff was Jordan getting handed the iPad by the director so he could react to some of the stuff that was being said about him. And you didn't want to be that person on the iPad. You just didn't want to be that person.
No, I know. You could just see his eyes start to light up. I have to say, though, speaking of Ewing, I thought, Patrick didn't get a lot of screen time, but I thought he handled it with a lot of grace.
Well, gosh, man, yes, he sure did, and so many different other people did, and I'm glad you caught that. Anything from your work that you flipped on, you saw?
Oh God, I don't look at my own work.
No, nothing.
No,
but just you're flipping around and there's something from your world that just popped on the screen that just even for a second. Nothing?
No, it's not nothing. I haven't been flipping around and I've actually gotten we've gotten very specific about our screen time. I'm like one of those people that even in this kind of a situation, I have to feel like I'm working. So I'm kind of spending my day at some kind of work, whatever it happens to be, and so I haven't been kind of channel surfing at all. And then we have a decision, we have a discussion over dinner about what it is that we're gonna watch, and then we sit down and do that together after dinner.
Okay, so you're not just sitting down and watching anything from either one of you or your wife's back in the day work at all.
It's a funny thing. You hear actors say this all the time, and I know people just don't really think this is true. And I don't want to say that I don't look at my movies, because in the process of making the movie,
yes,
I look at it a lot. Like, I really like to look at the dailies. I like to look at if I'm in a position where I can see the first editor's cut, I would love to see that, or the director's cut. I like to see the various stages of it. I like to see it with an audience. And then once it's out, I kind of say goodbye to it. So the only times that anything ever really pops up is when I met some kind of if they've cut together some kind of a clip reel, or a tribute type of thing, and then you see a scene and you go, oh yeah, and generally I'm like, oh God, I'm so glad I didn't watch that movie. I mean, I can't. I wish I was a little bit more supportive of my past work, but one thing that's been kind of funny though is one of my jobs that I've given myself is cleaning out, this like massive pile of shit in the basement that I just really don't need anymore. And so along with that are boxes and boxes of VHSs. And I honestly didn't even know if I had a VHS player, but in one of our rooms I found one. And so I started to sit down and go through some old VHS stuff. A lot of it is like funny things like TV appearances, Good Morning Dallas or something, and I'm looking because people just send it to you, and I'm looking at this stuff and going, oh my God, what was I thinking? Like, for a lot of reasons, either the hair or the look or the stuff that was coming out of my mouth, so that's been amusing.
Okay.
One really cool thing that I did find, though, which I was really excited about, was when we made Apollo 13, we filmed on a zero-G airplane that NASA has for training astronauts in zero gravity. And it's a pretty cool thing. It's a regular airplane. You fly out over the Gulf of Mexico and you climb and you dive. I don't know if you and I have ever talked about it, but it's a really extreme way to get zero gravity. Because as you go over the top of this, what they call a parabola, it's like being on a roller coaster. You float for 25 seconds. And they actually built our sets up there, and we shot a lot of the zero-G stuff actually in zero-G while flying out in this crazy plane they call the Vomit Comet, because it's incredibly nauseating. Yeah. And there was a whole bunch of behind-the-scenes footage that I found of myself and Hanks and the late great Bill Paxton and Ron Howard, floating around as he directs, and us, doing flips and drinking out of the air and stuff like that. It was kind of like what was happening off the set, and that was really fun to see.
No kidding. So, and that's something that was on a VHS tape that you found? That's where it was?
Yeah, it was on a VHS tape. It said Apollo 13 behind the scenes zero-G footage. And in fact, I sent it to Ron, and I don't think he had it. And so I had it transferred and got it over to him.
No, you had to transfer. I mean, you still have your own copy. I mean, you had to transfer.
I have it. Yeah, I have the tape.
Okay.
Yeah,
fantastic. Yeah. Apollo 13, Kevin, is, and again, we'll talk about your current film in a second. Apollo 13 is a remote drop for me. That doesn't matter where I am in it. I drop the remote. I have to watch it all the way to the end. And then I did check it out after watching the SpaceX launch the other day. Seriously, like in a way that when I watch golf, I want to play golf. When I watched that launch, I wanted to watch more, and that I had to watch the movie. Honestly, it's that great a movie. It really is, Kevin. Apollo 13.
It's a good one. I was really thrilled to be part of it, and not the least of which was having that incredible experience. I mean, we did that thing over 600 times, and
no way.
NASA up until that point hadn't really allowed any civilians to be on that plane. That was just something that was only being used for astronaut training.
And again, I don't know if you're on Twitter all that much, Kevin, but one thing that I do see more than anything else of you is people using your "all is well" meme from Animal House to try and calm everyone down with everything that's going on in the world. I see that "all is well" all the time, Kevin.
It is a pretty strange use of that meme, isn't it? I have seen that, yeah.
All is well. So let's talk about You Should Have Left. How many? I guess scary movies have you done? How many have you done?
Oh wow. Like I've done more than a few scary bad movies, but the first scary movie I did was I just happened to stumble into one that became very, very iconic, which was the very first Friday
the 13th. That's right.
And I was just, young actor, out of work, and needed to pay the rent. So it's not like I was like, I want to be in a horror movie. That was not, I always liked scary movies, but that wasn't the, there was no driving force around me. I wasn't really making the choices of what I wanted to be in or didn't want to be in. So that started a whole chain of events of slasher movies, and specifically of that, Friday the 13th thing. And then I did Tremors, and I did, and the movie You Should Have Left really was, the genesis of that was I did a really good scary movie called Stir of Echoes 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. And the writer and director of Stir of Echoes, David Koepp, and I remained friends, and I was always wanting to do another project with him, and kept kind of like, begging him to write something that I could be in. And it took 20 years, but I just eventually wore him down. And then we went off and made You Should Have Left.
And so you've been there and done that for that sort of thing. So what did you like about You Should Have Left that people should be tuning in, dropping on demand? It's the kind of scary movie that I like, where it has a basis in character and in emotion. And the first part of the movie is really a movie about a marriage, and most specifically about a second marriage, and about a guy who's married to a woman that's really way too young for him. And he has stuff in his past that he's sort of trying to run away from, but he also has a tremendous amount of paranoia, being married to an actress and being married to a young actress, and being worried that she's not being faithful to him, and they try to kind of escape right before she's going to go back into a job, and just have a weekend with his wife and him and their 6-year-old child, and so they picked this house in Wales. She's going to be working in London, so they look for a house in Wales, and to say that they picked the wrong house would be the understatement. That's You Should Have Left, which is available on demand everywhere now, and was released last Thursday. City on a Hill is a great show, man. Is that when we get through this whole nightmare, you're back out there doing it? Is that where it stands right now?
I certainly hope so. I'm hopeful, and I haven't heard anything definite yet, but okay. We're just starting to see people talk about and explore how production could resume, and that's the thing that I'm supposed to do next.
I hope so. It's a great show, man. You're great in it. You're dynamite in it as well. And I know that's what you've been on the last couple of times promoting.
Thank you.
So, no, you're welcome. Thanks for the time, Kevin. Always appreciate our chats immensely.
Great to talk to you.
Right back at you. That's Kevin Bacon. You got it. That's at Kevin Bacon on Twitter and Instagram. You Should Have Left, available on demand everywhere now. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.